Hi, my name is Adriana Gallen, and this is my World Health Organization Active Aging Framework and You presentation. The country I chose is the country of Ireland, and Ireland is an island in Europe that is about half the size of Iowa, for instance, and it sits to the west of Great Britain. It has a population of 5,343,805 people as of the 2024 US Census, and about one quarter of all adults are 60 years of age or older. As for the history of Ireland, it has a rich and resistant history as it has been inhabited for about 7,000 years with a native people called the Celtic Gaels that have experienced many incursions and invasions, but none quite as impactful as the British invasion in 1179 AD that secured Ireland as Great Britain's first ever imperialist colony. And it was their first in their infamous reign that would go on for almost a millennium or 1,000 years. Ireland wouldn't gain independence until 1921 and technically not be recognized as a sovereign state until 1949 by the UN. And they underwent the Irish potato famine during this time, where the population went from 8.5 million people due to hunger-related and starvation-related deaths and immigration, went from 8.5 million to the subsequent 5 million that it is today, and it has never recovered politically, population-wise, or economically. The government of Ireland is a parliamentary republic consisting of 26 counties. There are 32 counties on the island, but the top six belong to Great Britain still, post-independence. The Prime Minister, or the Taoiseach, is the head of the government and has most of the power. They are nominated by the House of Representatives, the Dáil Éireann, who is directly elected by the people, and they are appointed by the President, the Uach Chaireann, and the president is the head of state, and they have mostly ceremonial powers. And then the parliament has two chambers, the upper and the lower house. These are the measures of population aging we discussed in lecture, and the two that I chose to discuss about Ireland are first population pyramids, which is a graph that shows the distribution of ages across a population divided down the center between male and female members of the population. Second, I chose life expectancy, which is the average length of a time persons in a given society and subgroups are expected to live. First, we have population pyramid of Ireland, and this one is as of 2023 from the European Union, and there are only three demographic forces directly determining the shape of a pyramid: fertility, mortality, and migration. The widest point, as we can see on this one, is the age group of 40 to 44, and it is slightly lopsided at the top with a greater number of older women than men, which is a manifestation of past and current trends in mortality and fertility, and also shows the global trend that women live longer than men. Predictions are the movement of the upward of the 40 to 44 generation, and as the book iterated, it's like a pig in a python, where it kind of gives the gross analogy of a pig moving up slowly through the digestive tract of a large snake. So too will this generational boom move slowly upward through the population pyramid of Ireland. Second, we have life expectancy of Ireland. The top line shows the female life expectancy of 83.4 years, and the bottom orange line shows the male life expectancy of 79.9 years, and then averaging out to an 81.6 years overall between the two. What we're seeing is a global trend once again of excess male mortality, and it's larger in developed nations such as Ireland, usually of about 7 years globally, and in Ireland it's about half of that of 3.5. So for Social Security, there are benefits for older adults, and in Ireland there are two categories of Social Security. First, there's contributory, and then there's non-contributory. And within this, there's three main payment types. First, there's social insurance payments, which are contributory, and then there's social assistant payments, which are non-contributory, or also known as mean-tested payments. And then there's universal payments, which are non-contributory, but technically contributory through taxes. Then, the way that you qualify for benefits, all applicants must undergo a means test and a habitual residency test. First, the state pension, which is contributory, is a PRSI or a pay-related social insurance model, which you have to start contributing to before the age of 56 to benefit from after the age of 66. Or if you do not have the funds for a contributory pension, there's a non-contributory state pension, which is guaranteed after the age of 66 or older, and you have to not be on the state pension, and you have to pass a means and habitual residency test. Finally, healthcare and care legislation. So recently, there's been a movement for Sláinte Care, which is removing the private healthcare sector because there's currently a dual system of private and public healthcare, mostly public, and they're trying to remove that from public hospitals to be entirely public. They want to abolish the country's two-tier health system and model it after the UK's Universal National Health Insurance Service. And then for care legislation, there's carers benefits, which is um, socially insurance, and then there's care allowance, which is social assistance, and then there's carers leave up for 2 years from like a job guaranteed no loss. Finally, here are some challenges to active aging in Ireland. First, there's the World Health Organization Active Aging Framework. By active, they mean continuing participation in social, economic, cultural, spiritual, and civic affairs, not just the ability to be physically active and participate in the labor market. Then there's the Principles of Independence, Participation, Dignity, Care, and Self-Fulfillment, which is a rights-based approach based on these principles that guarantee older adults rights rather than just needs. And then there's the determinants of active aging, which are health and social services, behavioral determinants, personal factor determinants, physical environment determinants, social environment determinants, and economic determinants. So first challenge I acknowledge is transportation in Ireland. Ireland is a rural landscape and is very car dependent. So overall, most households over 50 or plus, three-fourths of them have at least two cars, which shows that it is highly reliant of a nation on car transportation. But many older adults either are not physically able to drive or can literally not drive by transport inaccessibility due to legislation that prohibits people in Ireland over the age of 70 and 75 from getting longer than a 1 year license. And they have to jump through many health checkpoints and hoops in order to get those. So they feel very discouraged lots of the time, and they have to jump through a lot of ageist policies. Then there's income and ageism. So the average income replacement in the EU is 57%, and for Ireland, it's only 38% for people ages 60 and over. And then there's a lack of legal protection for long-term residential tenancies, which disproportionately affects older adults. There's also a lack of opportunities for older workers, which shows blatant ageism. And then there's compulsory retirement at 65, which could also be argued to be an ageist policy, as age doesn't determine capability. And then there's a lack of adequate statistical reporting on how older adults are functioning or on ageism as a whole. Now there's human rights law. So human rights law lays down the obligations of governments to act in certain ways or to refrain from certain acts in order to promote and protect human rights and fundamental freedoms of individual groups. So challenge 5 in the World Health Organization is outlined as ethics and inequities, and here are a couple quotes, one of which is advocacy and ethical decision-making must be central strategies in all programs, practices, policies, and research on aging. Here's some advocacy in action, and someone in my current major could apply what they know in Ireland to work for older adults. So first, there's ethics, public policy, and international relations, which are both of my majors, and I also have a human rights certificate, and I plan on going to law school and working in human rights law. So a lot of human rights lawyers can be very active in older persons' rights movements as they can frame older adults' concerns into civil rights concerns and have them hold more legislative salience. There are two important roles that lawyers play in social movement emergence, and first is the generating rights consciousness among group members. Attorneys can be very helpful in identifying group grievances and seeing how this undermine rights and labeling them in terms of legal rights so that they hold at a legislative standard and acting as a focal point for the movement. And second, using traditional legal advocacy tools such as high-profile litigation. Once again, this increases the costs for the governments to not withstand listening to the older person's rights movements, and so they are more likely to be vulnerable to change. And these are my sources. Thank you.